Welcome back to the Lee Davis Show as we continue with Adam Kredo, terrific reporter for the Washington Free Beacon, talking about Secretary of Defense designate or nominee Chuck Hagel, his chances of confirmation. And again, Adam, you go back and read Hagel's paper trail almost as far back as you want to go, at least since we got to the 21st century, where in 2005 he declined to join a group of bipartisan senators, including Clinton and Kerry, who signed a letter to President Bush urging that Palestinians demand that Hamas reject terrorism for participating in the democratic process. He said he'd change his mind on that. Now he does consider Hamas a terrorist organization, on and on, where he has basically stood, frankly, on the side of the terrorists, or at least not standing on their side, certainly an apologist for terrorists.
Well, look, he really has stood on the fringe of both parties, both the Republicans and the Democrats, and that's evident in his record in the Senate, putting himself in the minority, oftentimes just one or two people who decline to sign letters. That seems quite obvious, and that most of the Senate, in fact, did sign, like you mentioned, declaring the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, a terrorist organization, Hamas a terrorist organization, things of this nature. And then he's taken the exact opposite position and advocated direct, unconditional talks with Iran. The same thing for Hamas and Hezbollah organizations such as this. So he really reversed all of these positions and tried to imply that he never really held them, that it was a different age, a different time. But let's go back and look at news reports, the history books. These organizations were still trying to kill Americans, kill Israelis, kill citizens across the globe. The same thing they're doing today, they were doing then.
And Adam, the thing is, if you study Hagel's record in the Senate, he had a pretty solid conservative record on domestic issues. So what do you think is taking the anti-Semitic factor out of it? There's no way to know what's in a man's heart on something like that. But is this rooted in 1930s Republican isolationism, or is it rooted in the, if you will, the Ron Paul attitude toward foreign affairs? What do you think what makes Hagel tick as far as his views on foreign policy?
Yeah, you know, it's unclear to me where he arrived at these things, because we do see his record voting for the Iraq war, and then at some point having a change of heart. And who knows how this happens, if it, takes place in the bars or dens of D.C. when you're talking to a bunch of people and they convince you to adopt a position, and then when you do, you're celebrated for it. Obviously, the liberal crowd really celebrated Hagel for his change of heart on the war, these types of things, and you really get locked in these types of foreign policy viewpoints. But Hagel does seem to believe them wholeheartedly, and he's left, like you said, the paper trail, and more than that, speeches and videos of him and all of these things, the Global Zero report, that bear his name and show his record. So we do have the materials to look at to see where he stands.
I mean, it's so ironic. I mean, John McCain was perhaps his single most hostile questioner yesterday, with the possible exception of Cruz, yet it was Hagel who actually managed John McCain's presidential campaign in 2000.
Yeah, it's interesting that the two used to be very close, and I'm glad you brought up McCain, because that really was a contentious exchange, and it focused on a very important thing. This is where McCain and Hagel really broke and I think lost a lot of their friendship in 2007 when we had the military surge in Iraq, that Hagel had said it's a blunder and that it was a quagmire, to quote over there. McCain asked him outright, "Were you right? Was this assessment correct?" And Hagel wouldn't say back or forth, but of course we all know the surge was a resounding success. It worked. It did its job, and Hagel, in fact, was on the wrong side of history in that type of decision that he made. But he really wouldn't admit it directly to McCain, who said very clearly that he wants the record to bear this and likely won't vote for him for this reason.
And again, over and over, when he tried to back away from his positions, Adam, it reminded me of the guy who gets caught messing around with his secretary by his wife, and all he does is say, deny, deny, deny. You're lying, or you're deceiving you. He's almost like he said, well, I never said those things, and if I did, I didn't really mean it.
Yeah, there was a lot of denial. There was a lot of saying the context was different. One thing that I think was particularly important to look at, and you mentioned earlier, Ted Cruz, when he played this audio tape, Hagel claimed that he didn't hear the caller properly. Of course, there's no way to know at this point, but this was really the strategy he adopted, either saying that his positions have been misinterpreted or that he never even held these positions, when it seems pretty clear that, in fact, he did. So it's just odd in its entirety on that front to see him squirm around like that.
So if Hagel doesn't make it, will it be most likely because someone puts him on hold or there's a filibuster, or will he actually be voted down, or will the Obama administration withdraw the nomination?
Well, look, I don't think the administration is going to withdraw the nomination. At least there's no evidence at this point to indicate that. And what I've heard through reporting in various meetings, particularly ones with the Jewish community, with Joe Biden, the vice president, and Hagel, when they met with the Jewish community, rather than explain Hagel's record, it seemed to me that the sense they were trying to give them was that this is the president's pick and the president wants it. So I don't think we'll see them backtrack in that sense. And it looks like, really, despite that performance, that Hagel does have the votes to be confirmed. So in terms of him not getting through, the one thing that we would look to is a filibuster, somebody putting a hold. But I also don't see evidence, at least not at this point, that the GOP is organized enough to pull off something like that.
I mean, Chairman Levin, who of course is Jewish, he's been a senator from Michigan for a long time, said he thought Hagel advanced his cause at the hearing. I wonder if he was watching the same hearing I was watching.
It's interesting, especially since Levin, in framing this hearing, when he had his opening statement, really put Hagel on the block for a lot of the things that he's said, particularly on the Israel front. And Levin is, of course, a very pro-Israel stalwart in the Senate. So that was interesting to see him frame it in that context. But we're hearing a lot of Democratic senators say that they...
Hi, everybody. Jim here from Shop Talk. Yeah, that's right, Shop Talk, the show that answers the question, what the heck is wrong with this car? Inviting you to listen in every Saturday from 11 until 1, right here on 101.1 FM, The Source.
Senators that support Israel on the Democratic side, Adam, I'm sad to say.
Yeah, look, I think that's what we're going to see, and it's likely he will be confirmed.
Sad to say, I think you're correct. Adam, as always, we enjoy your work with the Free Beacon. It's a fantastic website. Give people the web address if people want to check it out.
It's a fantastic website. We're breaking news all the time.
Yes, you are.
I urge people to go to freebeacon.com.
Check it out. It's a good one, and Adam's one of the best. Adam, thank you so much, my friend. Let's talk soon.
Thank you.
We'll do it. We'll come back. We will